all humankind, person, whomever you love.
Come and be welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne. Here we are building a community of refuge where all have equal worth and are invited into spiritual exploration as a foundation for hope, compassionate service, and action.
This is a place where questions are encouraged, a place with room for all of who you are.
This is a place full of works in progress, a place for being human together.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Settle in and exhale. This is a time for community.
All right, so my name is Audrey Bunton, and I'm wearing two hats today. One is worship associate to help our lovely service leader, Ambreia, who is going to present a really nice practice while Elizabeth is out of town celebrating her father's 70th birthday. So as board member, though, I'm here to welcome you to this church where we are on a shared journey to find meaning, connection, and community together. If you are new to us, please fill out one of those blue bordered cards that you can find in the back of your pew and drop it in the offering basket so we can share information about our activities and help find what nourishes your spirit here. Note cards in your pew are also available to write your joys and sorrows for the pastoral prayer. We pass a rectangular basket around to gather those. You can write your name or be anonymous with those prayer requests or joys. You can also write "Do Not Share" if you have something you would like held in care by a worship leader and pastoral care team, but not spoken aloud here. Many activities and events happen each week in this community. And I did not bring up my little announcement page, so let me grab that. I know that on the little order of service, the little half sheet. Yep, thank you. I know that coming up on Thursday is UU Music with Heather. Are you wanting to say something about it? You sure can.
Hello. So on Thursday at 6:30 in the library, we're going to do Ministry of Music. And what we're going to do is we're going to explore like all types of music, whatever touches your soul, whether it's K-pop, rock, anything, polka, which I personally don't consider music, but that's just me. But anything, the first initial session, Chris and I are going to be, Chris is going to be helping me because I have gotten like almost all my current inspiration music from Chris. So he's really good component on, hey, let's try listening to this, let's try listening to that. I hated when he was in his K-pop phase. I'm just gonna say that too. But I'm a huge music person, and it really, it really touches my soul when I have to have my feelings and I can't get my feelings out. I always listen to music. So Chris and I are going to be doing the first initial one. It's very low key. There will be snacks. So if anything, come for the snacks. But the first initial one we're going to have like, hey, here's our music, and kind of give you guys a premise of what it is. And then if you would like to bring music, you can. We have in the library, we have access to YouTube. And of course, we have Spotify on our phones. We have a CD player in there. If you would like, you can bring music, whatever music you would like to share. And we're going to go from there. We're going to meet every second Thursday of each month. So, thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Pretty exciting stuff. So a couple more announcements. These are all in your order of service on the back of the little insert, by the way. I don't have any additional that anyone has told me about, so please read those. But just so you know, Potluck Sunday is today. You do not have to have brought food. There is always plenty, so please come and eat. And tomorrow is Mindful Monday meditation with Beth Howard, and that's worth a shot too. Really quite nice to do. And that Wyoming UU camp out sounds really appealing. There's information in the as far as a link to click to register if you want to go. It's not far between Cheyenne and Laramie, so it could be really fun too. All right, so now I'd like to introduce, I don't know that I saw, is Elizabeth here today? She is not. Okay, not Reverend D, there's another Elizabeth. Okay, so that being the case, our Share the Plate partner this month is on here. Thank you. It is Meals on Wheels. And for those of you who don't know, half of the offertory that we take in today and the rest of August, half of that will go to Meals on Wheels, half of it will go to the church. And Meals on Wheels, for those of you who don't know, if you've lived under a rock for a while, it's basically the service that brings meals to people's homes, shut-ins, people who can't get out. Some of these people, it's their only social contact of that day. Pretty valuable service, so please give generously for that. And while those baskets are going around, contrary to what's in your order of service, we actually have a live musician today. Aaron has offered to play the violin instead of having that recorded music. But keep your order of service if you want and look up that piece. It really is beautiful. You can play that on your own. It's on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you, Erin, for that gift of music, and thank everyone for your contributions for our work to go out into the community.
To set the tone for today's service, I'm going to read an excerpt by scholar, truth teller, and writer who celebrated his birthday Friday. This is from The Devil Finds Work. To encounter oneself is to encounter the other, and this is love. If I know that my soul trembles, I know that yours does too, and I can respect this. Both of us can live. Neither of us, truly, can live without the other, a statement which would not sound so banal if we were not so endlessly compelled to repeat it and act on that belief. And now we'll have some grounding music.
The reading for our chalice lighting is In the Light of Love by Deva Premal. In the light of love, we are whole. In the light of love, we are home. In the light of love, we heal and sing. Thy will be done in the love of love. And now I ask that you look inside your order of service for the words to our covenant. We're not going to ask folks to come up and help because we're going to be doing something participatory for everyone in a few moments. So if everyone would like to stand, you may. If you prefer to sit, you may. Either way is fine. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its cause. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth, and to help others. And now will you join me in a spirit of prayer? Spirit of life and of love, we gather to be with one another, hoping to support each other as a comfort in hard times, to celebrate our joyful and happy moments, to dwell together in the wonder and mystery of this magnificent and ever-changing life. We give thanks and joys for the yard sale, garage sale, which happened yesterday. It was quite a success. Many people came, got rid of some things, good homes to those items, and money to help us in the mission of our church. We give thanks for that. And may we also acknowledge the beauty of this summertime, thankful for the sunshine, the changing light, the passing just recently of the halfway point between the equinox and the solstice, the beginning of harvest time for most cultures in the Northern Hemisphere. We also offer our prayers and concerns for people throughout the world living in times of war and struggle, for those in poverty, for those left without their homes, for those affected by the wildfires throughout our country and others, and for any joys and concerns which have left unspoken because they are too new, too tender to be spoken aloud. May we find in this space peace, comfort, and community that enfolds us. Amen, and blessed be. Breathe in.
Testing. There we go. Hello, y'all. So, as y'all heard a little bit earlier, a little while ago, I'm Ambreia. And so today, we're gonna do something a little bit different and more participatory with our service. As y'all have gathered, the theme is yoga oriented. We're gonna get into a But first, we are going to do a seated yoga practice. So we're nice and accessible and can get something that is nice and accessible to and further settle into the space. So for those of y'all who feel called to participate, I would love for you to join me in this brief practice. And I can't believe y'all can hear me. I'm real loud. Just like
It might be the people online.
oh, okay, I was like, now I'm from Dallas. I'm loud enough for y'all to hear me. How's this? All right. Okay. So, just to kind of recap what I said for anyone who couldn't hear before, we are going to do a brief chair yoga practice today before we get a little bit, but not too deep, into yogic philosophy. And so for those of y'all who feel called, just kind of prepare yourself to get into your body, possibly taking some grounding deep breaths. And when you feel settled, for those of y'all who are gonna participate, maybe give me a hand like this so I can tell that you're ready and willing to participate. And I'm gonna take off my shoes because I come from Southern people and we feel good with no shoes. All right, so first, let's just kind of sit down, make sure that we can feel our sits bones that are, at the base of the hips and the lower area of underneath the lower area of our back, grounded into the chair beneath us because we're not on the earth right now, but we can recreate that sensation by sitting firmly into the pew. And so from here, we are going to start with a seated mountain pose. And so I'm sure a number of y'all are familiar with the traditional mountain pose that looks like this. And so we're gonna recreate that seated. So first we're gonna start by putting our feet flat on the ground as is possible by our proportions, our shoes, all of these other factors. And we're gonna ground into our chair, place our hands either open like this or down if that feels comfortable for you. And so from here, we're going to rest our hands either here or wherever feels good. We're gonna take a nice inhale, a nice long inhale. We're gonna straighten our spine and try to stack our spine nice and straight on top of our sit bones, have our shoulders aligned, and we're going to also make sure that our shoulders are relaxed and coming down from our Perhaps close our eyes for a second and take a nice deep inhale before taking a nice deep exhale. Bless you. And so once again, we're gonna take a nice deep inhale, making sure our shoulders are pulled down and making sure our back is straight and our shoulders are pulled down. Nice deep inhale, nice deep exhale. And so once we feel done with this posture, we're gonna go into seated cat-cow. And from here, we're going to place our hands on our knees. We are going to think about moving as much as possible from our hip area. And we're gonna start by inhaling and arching our back, sending out the crown of our head towards the sky, bending as our bodies allow. And then we're gonna, once again, move from the base of the hips and exhale, folding forward. And so from here forward, we can move at the pace of our breath, but the goal of the motion is to last a full breath cycle. And we're gonna do this 3 more times. And once you've completed your third cycle, we are going to go into some seated forward folds. Once again, making sure to bend at the hips, keeping our shoulders down because that's often a sign that our back has correct posture and isn't hunched over, because we don't want to do that when we bend, we can hurt ourselves. And just leaning as far forward as feels good in your body today. And having the grace, passion for ourselves and our bodies to know that the distance we've been today may not be the same distance we were able to bend yesterday or tomorrow. But just listening to your body and seeing what it needs. Feel free to let your head hang so you can use gravity to get some of that tension out of your neck. We'll take a few breaths here. Let's say 5. And from here, we're going to sit our hands on our knees and thighs and slide up halfway. Once again, pulling our shoulders down, feeling that stretch in our neck and side area. Taking a few inhales and exhales before we inhale briefly and exhale, fold forward once more. Again, going for about 4 inhales and exhales. And once you finish that 4th breath, inhaling, rising, going back to stacking your spine in as straight of a column as possible, pulling those shoulders down. And from here, we are going to take our right hand and put it on our left side. And going to use the strength of our core to turn ourselves further to the right. And we can use our right hand as, sorry, my left, y'all's, I don't know. The one side, and we'll do the other side. Yes, so turning that way, making sure that we're not using our hand to crank ourselves and just using it more as an anchor to keep us stable. I remember one of the earliest lessons we learned in yoga teacher training is that that twist are one of the few opportunities we have to massage our organs. And it helps. If you need help, go into the bathroom. And so once you feel complete in your stretch, we're going to inhale back to the center. Before we take, for me, take my left hand, put it on my right side, and exhale using your core to turn the other direction. And please don't forget to breathe. And again, once you feel complete, we're going to reestablish our straight spine and feet on the ground. Give ourselves a second to just kind of loosen out our sides and our hips in case they were tight from doing that. And then we are going to inhale and raise our right arm over our heads before we exhale and lean over to the left, getting that nice stretch in the right. Let's see, for me, what side is it for y'all? Right? Okay. I was like, I'm facing y'all, but yes, this is one of my favorite stretches because my side is always tight. Not forgetting to inhale and exhale. Sometimes I like to use this also as an opportunity to roll out my wrist, because if you have one of the jobs like I do where you do a lot of typing or writing, thinking about how stiff and how much lactic acid we can build up in our wrist. Taking a couple more inhales and exhales. One more inhale, exhale. And then we'll release our right arm down and prepare to do the same on the other side. Something that can be helpful in this posture and other similar postures is to remember the goal is to have balance in the bottom of your body and the top of your body. And what I mean by that is your hips, in this case, since we're sitting in the chair, are pulling towards the earth, and the other half of your body, your chest upwards, is pulling in towards the air. Taking one more inhale and exhale. Another inhale and exhale. On the next inhale, raising your right arm up to meet your left. Taking the opportunity to reach both arms all the way up and do any last stretches you feel like your body needs in this moment. And then lowering our hands as we exhale. We're taking a few more deep breaths with eyes closed, if it feels comfortable. And preparing to close out our brief chair/pew yoga experience. All right. Thank y'all for being willing to go through that practice with me. And so I have a very brief chat that I'm gonna have with y'all after we listen to some music. So thank y'all for taking the time to listen to those songs with me. And I feel like that song in particular, this idea that I am perfect as I am, provides a really wonderful and unique opportunity to dive into the 8 limbs of yoga, more specifically, and the Niyamas, because I think there are a lot of moments that we do our best to become the best self possible, but don't realize that if we do not have an acceptance of who we are in a current moment, we can't evolve, because you have to accept before you can change. So with that in mind, I'm gonna say that I'm pretty sure everyone in here has heard of yoga before, even if they didn't see themselves reflected in the physical practice, be it because of our body type, our gender, our race and ethnicity, our ability status. There is a particular image that comes to mind with yoga in the United States that leaves a lot of us feeling isolated and left out for a number of reasons. And so with that in mind, when I first started exploring yoga, I had just, and we were oh, I take care of myself. Oh, wait. Y'all caught up in the physical expression of yoga that was most visible at studios and online and on social media. Quest of yoga between the mind, the body, and the spirit, the mind and body and the, you then start to feel called to, oh, I was pulled towards yoga in my second iteration, post the children world. As y'all see, I'm one of not very visible here at church. I'm a Black woman. If we look around, we don't see any other Black folks here. Maybe when I look in the mirror, I see another one, but yes. So I'm sure on some level, all of us can relate to that experience of being in a space and not sure if what you embody is going to be accepted, represented, or just held close, right? And so, very natural desire. So started to love and embrace a postpartum body became an effort or desire to learn and embrace both my physical self as a person who is a Black mother in America, as well as my larger spiritual self, a person who is a human in America and has shared experiences with other humans in America. And so with that in mind, I made it further into this journey, did a lot of maternal health writing and advocacy. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm a journalist who often covers maternal health disparities. And that's very heavy work, particularly when you've had those experiences, and wanted to develop a place where Black mothers specifically, but all people who have who have children in general, had a place to process those things. And I wanted all of us to dive further into a place where we could find internal and informed and internal peace in an overstimulating world. And so within that, I found this opportunity to hold the diversity of all of our stories, figure out the best way to connect with a tradition respectfully that I'm not in the lineage of, and just kind of go across that journey. And so for me, it was really important not just to hold on to yoga as the physical practice, or asana, as we'll discuss in the 8 limbs, but hold yoga within its true and authentic cultural container. And so the cultural container that yoga exists in is referred to as the 8 limbs of yoga. Those 8 limbs come from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and basically provide a lot of really useful guidance on how to maneuver through the world, both internally and externally. And so I'm going to briefly go through the eight. I'm going to briefly go through the 8 limbs, and then we're going to get a little bit deeper into the niyamas, but not a whole lot because this is not a master class. So the first limb of yoga is the yamas, specifically yama, which is often referred to as the character building restraints. And so this is basically how we interact with the external world. We'll get more into the specifics of that later. The second is niyama, which is the character building observances. How do we get into ourselves and treat ourselves with kindness and respect? The third is asana, which is the physical posture. The goal that isn't discussed when we see people is to use body as an anchor to be able to access the spirit and be able to leave the mind. And another quick fact that really made me happy is learning that the original yoga posture was just kind of sitting. It was just kind of being there present. So it wasn't like who had the best downward facing dog, whose leg could touch the back of their head, all these other things we love to see on Instagram. It was, can you sit and use your body as an anchor to enter the spirit? So if you're ever having a bad yoga day, that'll make you feel better. It makes me feel better. Next, we have pranayama, which is breath regulation, or more specifically, life force. This larger energetic thing that we are all connected to that goes through our body and is shared through the larger plane of existence. Because as we know, if we do not breathe, we die. And we mean that both literally and metaphorically. Next, we have pratyahara, which is going inside or withdrawing the senses. We have dharana, which is the initial stage of meditation, where you develop a single point of focus. A lot of times we use the term drishti, to kind of get out of the external and slowly enter the internal. Next, we have dhyana, which is just a further merging between that object of attention and that larger internal self. And then we have samadhi, which is often described as like bliss or enlightenment or something like that. And so with that context in mind, y'all can go read those things if you're more interested in them. What I'm going to break down a little bit further for y'all today is the yamas and the niyamas, those restraints and observances. And so what you need to know about the yamas is they are the self-regulating behaviors that kind of shape the interactions we have with the larger world. The first is ahimsa, which is nonviolence. And the beautiful thing about this is it's not just physical nonviolence, but it's also nonviolence of the thoughts. Are you thinking mean things about people? Like, there are times, whether we know it or not, our thoughts very strongly influence our actions. So if you spend all of your time thinking mean things, it's only a matter of time before you do mean things. We have satya, or truthfulness, you being honest with yourself and others, how you are navigating the world. And sometimes that is this very, like, did you, like not telling somebody because you didn't, I'll go to that example. And I have a funny example for y'all, but I'll tell it in a minute. Basically making sure you're being honest. And something that was pointed out to me by another student of yoga recently is the importance of coupling nonviolence and truthfulness together. Because when you put them together, you realize that you have to do them simultaneously. So it's not good to be like, oh, that looks great on you, but it doesn't because you want to be nice. You're still harming them in that lie. Just like it is not good to be truthful but mean and hurt someone's feelings and go through that process. And so it becomes a question of how can you hold both simultaneously, delivering things with accuracy but also thoughtfulness and intention. So then we have asteya, or non-stealing. And at first, I interpreted this as just general theft, but the more I engaged with other students of yoga, I really loved this as an idea of also not stealing opportunity from others. And so the example that I heard best is like, as a parent, I have this desire to send my child down a particular life path. But if I am stealing their opportunity to experience life, that's not the right way. they deserve the diversity and the failures and the joys and all of those parts that accompany humanity. Next, we have brahmacharya, which is non-excess. There's a lot of conversation these days about some folks using a literal translation of it meaning celibacy. Other folks, as y'all can guess, that is not the most common interpretation currently. These days, it is more like not having more than you need, not hoarding things to the point that you are, again, stealing from others. Then we have aparigraha, which is non-possessiveness or non-greed. And this is another one of those for me that on surface level, it seemed so simple, right? But when you get into it, this idea of non-possessiveness, it relates to also not being, it's so like not non-attachment, not being too obsessed in the moment. And like for those of us who have to make decisions for other people, be it through work, through parenting, not being to outcomes and knowing that life is going to show ways that you may not have expected, but be attached to what you envisioned. And that was so exciting for me to come across that interpretation. And so that's the end of the 5 yamas. Then we get into the niyamas. Satya, which is purity. Again, one of those things that people often take literally, but when you have, and if that's what someone chooses to do, they can do that in terms of their body, in terms of their food. But the more nourishing interpretation of that for me is this idea, y'all see me smiling because I was so excited when I learned these, is this idea of purity of a moment. And so purity of a moment, how it shows up for me as a person who has battled anxiety for much of my life, is how can I approach each moment as new and not bring the baggage or the negative conflict or the bad things, news, headline, whatever, into this moment, and instead experience it for the fresh opportunity and moment it is. And for me, that was so enriching and encouraging to know that just because you've gone through a circumstance once doesn't mean the outcome has to be the same. Next we have, next we have Santosha or contentment. And again, like we started, that's this acceptance of what is. Like we all have dreams and hopes and aspirations for the world. But again, how can you know what to change if you have not accepted what is truly in front of you? And that can be surface level and physical, that can be emotional, that can be our therapy journeys, our children, like I have neurodivergent kids, like accepting them for who they are and knowing that my goal is not to change them. It is to nurture and facilitate them as who they are and where they're headed. So again, y'all can tell which ones I get. You're supposed to love all of them, I do. But there are some of them that really just like make me really excited. Next is one I don't like. Not that it matters that I don't like it, but that's because it's an area I need to work on. Is tapas, this idea of self-discipline. Can you hold yourself to the fire in those hard moments? And so we can take this literally if folks like to go to the gym and you're doing a set and it's like, it's burning. Can you push through? But this is also our everyday experiences. That person you don't like, that you have the long-term, that you have unfortunately have to interact with regularly. Can you keep yourself there in your ethics and make it? It's hard for me, especially when I think about like planks and stuff. I just don't like it. But you know, we're all growing. Next is my favorite one, which is svadhyaya, which translates to self-study, and it becomes this beautiful opportunity to observe how we respond to the larger world. And it's a wonderful chance to ask ourselves, what are the stories I've told me about who I am? It is this other chance to, it's just this chance to be present in your life, because there's nothing fun about going through life through the motions without knowing who you are. And again, it's essential to be able to move through the rest. Next, we have Ishvara Prandihana, which is surrender. And it's this chance to, again, accept life as it is, but going beyond like accepting who you are, but say, okay, I have these ideas about what I want to happen, but life has a plan too. Life has a force attached to it. And, we're kind of along for the ride. What is that joke? Like they say, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. Like to me, that is what this one is about. And so at another time, I want to have a more nerdy session about all of these things that y'all see I'm very obviously giddy about. But for those of y'all who are interested in learning more about the Yamas and the Niyamas with very real contemporary examples, there is a book called Yamas and Niyamas by Deborah Adele. And she gets really into it with these examples of like, how do these values show up in our partner? Like, for example, non-stealing. I was stealing when I ate my husband's leftovers yesterday. Like, I was like, leftovers are great. And he just leaves them in the refrigerator. Like, stop using these larger examples or these stereotypical examples of hurting ourselves and others, and giving ourselves an opportunity to see things in a different light, and see how we can better show up for ourselves in the world around us. And so with all that excitement and nerdiness aside, I hope that y'all got at least a small introduction to the Yamas and Niyamas in this talk. And thank y'all for listening.
Know that you are loved.
And now you can remain seated if you would like, or you can rise as we use the words in the order of our service to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again.
And as a last set of parting words, I will give you one more quote from James Baldwin. Whatever you describe to another person is also a revelation of who you are and who you think you are. You cannot describe anything without betraying your point of view, your aspirations, your fears, your hopes, everything.
You are dismissed. Join us for coffee hour.